And we should be live. I think we're live. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for this very exciting unboxing video of the Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era pre-production copy. I have to say it's a pre-production copy. Mark Dainty is joining me.
Hi, everybody.
Evening, Mark. Let me know if you can hear Mark.
Evening.
And let me know if the volume levels between me and Mark are okay, or if Mark needs to be turned down or up. Let me know and I can adjust that on the fly. Now, Mark is joining me tonight because Mark's copy of the game is somewhere in Rugby.
So it's been delayed now for 2 days from Every. My copy should have arrived yesterday. I got a notice yesterday that there'd been a delay and it would be delivered today. Of course, at 20 to 10 this morning, I get yet another copy, another notice from Every saying, actually, there's been a delay. We'll try and deliver it tomorrow. So
Okay.
fingers crossed it's here for the weekend, but Who knows? Yeah, who knows?
So my theory is that somebody who works at the delivery company has backed the game, knows what it is, has opened it, and is going to play through the tutorial before sending it to you. That's my theory.
That's what it is. Yeah, I blame, I don't know, let's say Mark Bouguer, I think.
Yeah, let's blame Mark.
He's been fairly vocal on this. Yeah. So I think Mark's nicked my copy, or either that or Alex from Sheffield. Yeah.
Yes. Right. We're gonna jump in. Before we start, though, you may notice that there is some damage to this box. Two things. First of all, this is a pre-production copy, and there is a note inside, and on that note, it says that this box is not the final box. In the final production version of the game, they have reinforced the box inside and out, and also because this was sent to me from somebody at Chip Theory Games or from somebody at the warehouse within Chip Theory Games, it just came in a box and it was sent to me from America. I am 100% sure that backers who have backed this game who get sent a copy through normal fulfillment will get it properly packaged with lots and lots of foam. This one was not, but that's fine. As I say, this is not the final version of the game. We're going to take the lid off, and the first thing we are presented with, and I'll tell you, I haven't really looked at this yet, but because me and Mark are very fortunate, we are one of the trusted people that has been sent an early pre-production copy of the game, and we're producing video content for it. We've got to appreciate the fact that whether we like it or not, Mark, we are influencers, and people will make buying decisions based on our videos and based on what we show. So Chip Theory Games, they've sent this letter to basically say that what you see here is not the final version of the game, and I am going to read through some parts of this because I don't want you to get the wrong impression. When you see something in here that isn't the final version, you need to know that it's not the final version. So
yeah,
this is a final proof of the game prior to mass production. What happens is any publisher these days, what they do is they get a pre-production copy of the game, normally 2 or 3. I believe Chip Theory Games have done 100 because it's Chip Theory Games and they do things slightly differently. But they use that pre-production copy to go through it with a fine-tooth comb, and then they have a meeting with the printers and they say, right, we want you to change this, and this. The pre-production stage of a game is very, very important in order to catch those last minute errors. And sometimes it's not errors, it's actually errors because the people printing it misunderstood the instructions. So it's actually errors on their part. Anyway, so we've got note a few things that are changing. So the way that the box is packed as you remove the game, the final version of the game is going to include instructions so that you know how to pack the game back in the box. This box doesn't have that, Mark. So when you get your copy, you fling all of the bits out. But thankfully, they've given us a link
with instructions
to a PDF which tells us how to put it back in the box.
Oh, they do spoilers.
They do. And it says here, they've made a number of changes, mass production. So the inside colour is going to be different. The inside strength, the reinforcement, all of that sort of stuff, that is going to be fixed. They've also changed the way that the graphics wrap on the box interior, which is not that important, but it's good of them to let us know, to ensure that the graphic is not damaged at the seams in transit. Okay, right? Your box may have been damaged in this way. Yes, it has. It has very much been damaged. The box itself will be slightly taller. So I don't know if you can see this, but everything in the box is absolutely flush with the level of the lid. But they're going to make it taller by about 1/2 inch to accommodate the storage of the Deluxe Adventurer Inventory Accessory. Is that the leather books?
I think that's the leather bound book things, which look fantastic. Basically, they allow you they're a better way of, or a more deluxe way of storing your game in between sessions, aren't they? I think.
Yes, and they're not leather; they're pretend leather.
No.
Is that right?
They're vegan leather, leatherette, whatever it's called. Yeah,
right, okay.
yeah.
So if you have backed those and you're wondering how those will fit in the box, don't worry. Also, they're going to, and this is really important, Mark. I know that you need to know this. The box is being widened by 2 millimeters.
Well, that is, you know what? I was looking at that. Although I haven't got my physical copy,
You're going to cancel your pledge, weren't you?
I was going to cancel Chip Theory based on it being just 2 millimeters too small. Basically, that's what
so they've fixed that. Yeah. The reason why they've done that is because the trays are a little bit tight in the bottom, and just by expanding it a little bit, hopefully it will still fit in a Kallax.
Yeah,
hopefully. Right, the things which you're going to see in here which are final, the chips that you're going to see are final. The dice are going to be final, and the internal tray solutions are also going to be final. The PVC printed pieces, so the cards, the reference sheets, and the map, they have noticed some colour variants within the different decks. So if you spot that in this video and you think, oh, the colours are different, they've spotted that and they've fed that back. So hopefully that will all be addressed. You're probably not going to see this in the unboxing today, but there are a number of very small typos, including a few missing commas that have been found on some of the cards. They've all been fixed for the final version of the game. But for me and you, Mark, that are going to be playing this version of the game, if there's a comma in the wrong place, don't get too angry.
I'm going to, because Shannon, and I know Shannon's in the chat, is quite a grammar, quite good at being the grammar police. So, Shannon, I will be looking out for these errant commas, semicolons, you name it, any punctuation marks. Again, another reason to cancel Chip Theory.
Absolutely, absolutely. There is one card, Mark. Do not use card BM02 in the prototype.
That sounds like a challenge.
Apparently, the wording on the card in this pre-production copy is so far wrong. The card is completely broken. So take that card out. Don't use that card again. They fixed this for the final version. The card boxes. The card boxes are digitally printed and are lower quality than the final version. So the card boxes that you're going to see, they're not final. The neoprene map tiles, again, not final. They've done another detail pass. And also the clash mats. We'll see this when we get to it. But unfortunately, the printers misunderstood some of the instructions. And they've actually printed the clash mats with the same artwork on both sides. So, which
I think that's just an aesthetic. Isn't just an aesthetic thing, though, isn't it? It still has the same functionality.
I believe so.
In those
I believe so. But it will be unusual when we look at them and we flip them over and we go, wait a minute, this is the same thing on both sides. So
yeah.
The rule book and the gazetteers, which you will see in here, they've had another round of proofreading. So again, we might spot some odd things in there. No major content has changed, but they've just inserted a few extra graphics. And all 7 booklets are receiving an upgrade to the thickness of the paper. Now, you're probably not going to see this in the unboxing video, but for me and Mark, again, it's going to be changed. There's also a number of accessories which are not included in here. So if you have backed it, there is a blacksmith pack, there is a metal Uberos first player token, the Vale and Wood expansion, all of that stuff is not in here. We don't have that. Right.
So, Paul, sorry, while you're going through that, did they mention the index? I'm sure on one of the videos, Josh mentioned the fact there will be an index. Yeah.
The rulebook that we have that's included in here does not have an index in it, but the final version of the rulebook will have an index in it. Because an index is needed for a rulebook of this size. Right. Now, Mark, you were telling me earlier that you got a chance to play this game at Gen Con last year.
Last year, yes. So I sat down with Andrew Santoro and I played it for about just over an hour or so. Now, Paul, you'll know this because you're about 6 months older than me. That anything that happened beyond last week is possibly very hard for me. Yeah, we're both 27, of course. Yeah. It's hard for me to remember. However, I will say that from what I remember of what I played, I really enjoyed it. Obviously, if you like Too Many Bones, it shares some of the DNA with Too Many Bones, but is a real progression on from Too Many Bones as well. What I liked about this is obviously in Too Many Bones, your character is very prescribed, if you like. You know, you have your gear locks, and you can choose which paths you want to upgrade on that, but that's different. Of course, here, it's more open to choose the build of your character and adapt it throughout the campaign, and that's what I really like from this. The play some of it's similar, but some of it's very different as well.
Yeah.
And when we start seeing the player mats, you'll see how the kind of, I think they're called the skills and the, I want to say, abilities kind of counteract each other as you upgrade them on the mat itself, and you can increase one to decrease another kind of thing. But yeah, really enjoyed
We'll
this.
see that later. So what we've got here, so the bits that I know about this game, and correct me if I'm wrong, is this is a campaign game, but it isn't your massive Gloomhaven 50 million scenarios. A campaign of this, is it 3 acts or 4?
It's 3, I believe. Yeah,
Right.
and each act, I believe, is then triggered or set up from what you do in the previous act. And so I think you're getting something like a keyword or various things at the end of however you finish your first act that will then dictate how the next one is set up. And of course, there are variant paths in it and various characters, and you're going to play it numerous different ways. Yeah.
Okay, so what we've got here is we've got 6 like terrain marks. Now, if you know anything about the Elder Scrolls world, Morrowind, Skyrim, etc., etc., I've only ever played Skyrim. I haven't played any of the other ones, but these are places from that world, which will all make sense to people. Do you know, Mark? Do you play one of these in a campaign, or do you go from one area to the next? We don't know.
I think you play. I don't know. I think you play one of them. I couldn't say for certain. Shannon may be able to help us in the comments.
Somebody in the chat might help us. But anyway, what we've got is, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here. So we have it's basically a hex map with various icons and various place names, and presumably you will be traveling around here, going to different locations, and doing different things.
Yeah.
There you go. Right.
Exactly right.
Lots of detail. Next.
Yeah, certain hexes will have things on there that you go and visit. I think there's markets and various encounters and quests, etc., that you will activate by going on those hexes. Yeah.
Okay. Now we like a bit of neoprene in this house.
Excellent.
So we have now these, I believe, are those maps that have been printed the same on both sides, which is the printing mistake. So
Shannon's just said, by the way, Paul, you stick to one area for a session. You may change regions for the second session. Session will and the third session will always be in the same region as session 2. So it's going to be a maximum of 2, but you could have one region all the way through.
Got it. Right. Okay. Cool. So yes, these are the clash mats. I think. Is that what they call them? Clash mats.
Yep.
So 2 clash mats. And again, these are going to have unique artwork on eventually. And as it said in the opening letter, these haven't had their final pass. So they're already looking very nice with a lot of detail on. But there's been another detail pass over them afterwards. So we've got that one. And then we've got one for a more icy type of terrain.
Yes. Which is kind of, what's it called?
Skyrim area?
Suppose. Yeah.
We've also got some smaller neoprene mats, which I have seen images of, that you can make like a dungeon out of this, I think.
Yeah, so if I remember rightly, for the encounters, you will set those up to then have your dungeon type encounter. And there is some true dungeon crawling in there as well, that it will reveal, from what I remember, other areas will reveal as you either go into them or expose them, etc. So, you won't see all the baddies in one fell swoop.
Right. Okay.
On every encounter.
Yeah, so I'm just making my own little map here, and I guess this is kind of what you do. And you might be able to put neoprene on top of neoprene. I don't know. But anyway, that's those mats. Now, what have we got here? The books. So again, because this is just a rough copy that was sent to me, there is some damage to the books. I'm assuming that the final version won't come with that. We have a tutorial guide. So this... leave the rest of the books in the box. If you've got this game, this is what you need to start with. I believe this is read this book first. This is how we're going to teach you how to play. And although this version is 39 pages long, it looks like it's actually quite spaced out with lots of images telling you
lots of images. That's exactly what we need as well, basically, because I think, dogpiling all the rules at the beginning is not always the best idea. So this looks like a great way to kind of learn in and lean into the game. So Mike James, Brett Wright says that box looks heavy.
Brett, this is very heavy.
Yeah.
What was it that Gilly said on the official unboxing? That it's heavier
£21.
Gloomhaven once Gloomhaven has been punched out.
Yeah, heavier than the first Gloomhaven, not quite as heavy as Frosthaven, I think is kind of what he said. So he sent me a photograph of it on the scales, and it was about 21, 22 pounds. I know that's American, so any of the British watching, that's about 19 tons, I believe, in English money. So there we go, yeah.
Yeah.
Joke.
Then we have the rule book. So I will be reading through this after I've read through the tutorial guide. But again, I've had a quick look at the PDF online, and the layout does look nice. With lots of examples and lots of images. And as I mentioned at the start, this is not the final version. They have gone back and they've done another editing pass on it. They've added more images, more examples, and they've put an index at the back. There you go, which it says there is going to be an index. We don't have one, but they've made space for one. So that's the rule book.
So we're gonna learn this the hard way, so you guys don't have to. I think that's what Paul's saying there.
That's one of my phrases. Yes.
Yeah, we're in rabbit ears. We're professionals. No, we're not. Well, Paul is. I'm not. Should I say? Yeah. So
right, we've got some gazetteers. So we have one for each of the regions on the board. We have Skyrim, Blackmarsh, Cyrodiil, Morrowind, and High Rock. So tell us about these. What are these gazetteers, if you know?
These will be the various regions. So these will be the tales that you tell, I believe, as you go on your journey. So, of course, it's going to have branching storylines and divergent storylines in there. So this will allow you to, like any of these books, you'll choose a particular passage, I should imagine, or a particular encounter and play that. But you will never play all of them in one particular game. Yeah.
That's the other thing as well. This is a campaign game, but it isn't your campaign game that you've played it once and then that's it. I think it's more like your Hoplomachus Victorum, which is a campaign game, but you replay it multiple times.
Yeah, how you play that dictates. So your character builds are going to have make a massive difference into how you play this game or replay this game. The paths that you take are going to make a massive difference into how many times you're going to replay this game as well. So, and of course, the encounters that you have, it's going to be. I think there's going to be a lot of replayability. Yeah.
So we have an enemy skills reference, which is great. Because we will be looking at this will be the most used thing in the entire game, as we are constantly. What does elusive do again? What does that do again? It's actually been really nice playing Hoplomachus Victorum and Hoplomachus because, of course, the two systems share a lot of commonalities. So you learn what the keywords do in one, and it's the same in another. Yeah, we've got the normal Chip Theory Games keywords. There's a lot of them. So, but that's fine, and I'm glad that they've included two, because when you're playing this game with 3 or 4 players,
other people,
you kind of want one over there and one over there, right? Okay. Yeah. Now we're on to the part that you were telling us about earlier on, which is the characters. So, what we have here is we have 4 character trays, and I'm going to guess that this is a save system.
Yes. So that will allow you to save in between sessions, in between games. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well let's open one of these up and show you what we've got in here. So take this out.
So unlike Too Many Bones, where obviously each map was unique, these are all the same, I believe. All these maps are exactly the same because the various species, I want to say species that you use, their kind of their class, etc. That's going to be different. That's going to be the deciding factor on how they go. So I think all the maps are the same. Yeah.
But what are we going to do with this map? We are going to choose a character, I believe.
Yes.
And we're going to put some dice in here. So let's get the dice out, because in the bottom of this box we have some dice. We have one. Oh, if I can get it out. Oh, if only this box was 2 millimeters wider, this would be fine.
See? Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, we've got 4. Oh, no, that's not dice. We'll come back to that later on. We've got 3 things full of dice. And we've got an extra one filled with what looks like blank grey dice and black dice. Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
But we are going to be putting dice in here, presumably.
Well, yeah. So I think they're going to try. Take it off. So if you look down both the right and left-hand sides of the mat, rather than having dice squares, it's got some circles on there.
It does.
So that is on both sides, on the left and the right. So say you chose an ability. Did it say ability and skill above there?
It says nothing.
It says nothing. Right.
It doesn't
Okay.
say
Oh
anything,
yeah.
but I've got these little chips.
Yeah. So if you place one in one side and one in the other side,
Nope.
and
Nice.
then you can see that you've got what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've got six dice spaces.
Yeah.
So without going through the rules, you would choose. Say your left ability is, I can't see it. It's got a shield on there.
It
Probably
does,
the wrong
yeah.
thing, but let's say it's defense. Yeah. And you chose 4 defense. So you would put 4 coloured dice in there, basically, or coloured markers in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that would mean on the other side, you could only have 2 of that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And then what you can do throughout the game is you can increase one of those, but of course it would decrease the other. And I believe you can't get them back. I may be wrong. You kind of de-learn a skill or an ability.
Okay. So I'm just looking quickly through the tutorial booklet. There are these square markers here, which I think these are final versions, and you slot these into here.
Yeah.
According to what I'm seeing in the tutorial booklet. But there is also the opportunity to add dice into here as well.
Yeah, I think on some of them, depending on what the skill or ability is, yeah.
Right, okay. So, yeah, you've got 4 tracks.
So, for example, I'm sure you would put your weapon dice into there, that kind of thing would go into there. And there are different levels of weapons, so you will upgrade your dice as you go throughout the game as well.
Right. Okay. Well, that's the
Trogdor says you can. Trogdor says you can unlearn everything other than stamina and health, which makes sense. Yep.
Good to know. Good to know. So, since we're talking about the characters, we've got a box here which is very heavy. And I'm assuming, that's normal poker-sized cards, of which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 packs. But I think there is another very heavy pack. Here we go. So in here we have cards of different sizes.
Yes.
Including some very, very odd sized cards, which are these, which look, I think these are the characters. Yeah, these are the characters.
Yes.
Okay, let's get in here. Right, so I don't know if these are all characters.
No, so I think what you've got there is you've got your characters, you've got their class, and you may have their traits as well. I'm not too sure in those long cards. And exactly right, you would lay those out next to your board. There may be I think there may be a third one there as well for them, which will be like a weapon type, maybe.
Could be, not sure.
Could be, not too sure. Yeah.
Oh, there's this.
That's the thing. What I'm thinking of. Yeah. So that is you choose your speciality, if you like. I think. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Right. Okay. There's a lot of stuff here. So
and they're double-sided, I believe. They're double-sided, so you will get the upgrades on the other side as well. I think.
Okay.
Yes.
So if we're going with, for example, this one, then that is the level 1 and 2 side. And then we flip it over and it goes to level 3 and 4.
As you upgrade, yeah.
Okay.
So as you can see from the sheer amount of kind of characters, of the class, of the weapons, of the specialities, the kind of the permutations, people are going to have so much fun, I think, kind of putting the right build that works for them together and experimenting with different builds.
Yeah. So what we've got is we're going back to D&D. We've got the race and we've got the class.
Absolutely. Yeah. Exactly right. I've got a Tuesday night D&D group, and I've mentioned this game to them, and they're all eager to play this. They're hardline D&D, as not necessarily board gamers, but they're really interested in playing this game. So I'll be playing it with some hardline D&Ders just to find their thoughts on it when my copy eventually arrives. Yeah.
Any kind of game where you get to choose your race and then you get to choose your class, and you're like, oh, I'll be a halfling wizard or something like that.
Yeah.
Breaking the molds.
Yeah.
So these are the player mats, and as I say, we've got a save system, so that once you've locked your dice into here, you basically put it in this at the end of the day, and then that saves it, and then that goes away, and you're all done. You get it out ready for next time. There's also some holes in here, which I think is where you are going to put. I saw them. So a little bag with some plastic things.
Yeah.
Pegs. And you can mark
at the top. but also at the bottom. So if you go to the bottom of the map, there's two of the map. There's two rows along there. So on the left hand side, I believe is your cooldown. So say if you put a peg in, say the third or second or third one along there.
Yeah.
And you roll 4 dice, and then you put your 4 dice in there, and then at the end of your turn, you get to take back any that are from the cooldown and less. So that is your effective cooldown there, which means that you know when your dice are going to cycle back to you. Which is So at the end of your turn, if you had a cooldown of 3, you would take the left 3 dice, and the fourth one would stay in there until the next turn, which is really good.
Right.
So that is an element of cooldown, and you'll know because, of course, your dice are going to be limited in terms of what you can roll, what your weapon can do, what kind of dice you can. Right. Also, on the other side, you've got your. I think it's called tenacity on the other side.
Okay.
Now, like in Too Many Bones, misses don't always mean bad things. You can build your misses up, and if you look on that sheet that you've got next to the board, is it Archer that you've got
this
there?
One?
That's your tenacity.
Right.
And therefore, you can spend any of your misses that you collected to do any of those actions. I believe the only thing that you can't do, you can do multiple tenacity actions in one turn, but you can't repeat the same tenacity action.
Okay.
So you could do, if you had 6, you could do 1, 2, and 3 there, but you couldn't do 2, 2, and 2. Yeah?
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Right. So that's that. Let's move these character trays out of the way for now. Let's see what else we've got in the box. So I saw that Mr. Wilkins, Ricky Royal, posted a picture earlier on of this. And I didn't know what this was, but now I do know what this is.
Okay.
Because it's the holding the day tracker or the experience point tracker or something like that. I'm just going to brightness on the camera a bit. It does look very dark. Apologies for that, but the camera was very dark. I thought it was okay, but clearly not. Anyway, let's get on to the chips. So one of the things that makes Chip Theory Games is the chips.
Is the chips.
And this would have been a heavier box if these were the premium chips. These are the normal chips.
Chips, yeah.
But we have, I think it is just this. It's just these chips. So unlike something like, Cloudspire, which has loads and loads of chips, we've got one main tray of chips, and then the rest of them are health chips.
Health chips. And I can only imagine in a game like this, unlike Hoplomachus, that the health chips aren't limited in number, because they are sorry, what's the word I'm looking for? They are purposefully limited in number in Hoplomachus Victoria, aren't they? So, yeah.
So we have 20 adventurer chips. We have 25 enemy chips of levels 1 to 5, like the baddies. We have 25 levels 10 to 20, and we have 15 quest chips. So
and Mike James says the chips are double-sided as well. Yep.
Right. Okay. So, and thank you to Shannon for reminding me that I am going to need a knife to open up these chips. So let's dive in and let's have a look at what we've got in here. So, I mean, these are bigger than the normal Chip Theory Games chip trays. They're a lot bigger.
Okay.
Than normal. So. Hey, there we go.
Oh, I mean, you're not opening a Chip Theory Games game unless you have an explosion of chips going somewhere when you crack open the seal.
Okay, so I'm actually going to zoom in with the other camera on these so that we can see them in a bit more detail. Here we go. Right, so I think these are the hero chips. These are the adventurers.
Looks that way. Yes,
so it's just character art on these. So there's lots of those included. But these are the ones with the enemies. So I don't know if this is a 5-point. Probably is.
Are they double-sided as well then?
Yep. There we go.
Yes. Okay. Right.
So the usual thing: name, artwork, stats around it, and the keywords on the bottom. So lots of those. We also have some white ones. Let's just have a look. So we're not going to go through all of these, but no. You get the idea. These are all stuff. I'm just going to have a quick look at what the difference is between the white ones and the black ones, if I can find a book where it says. So the white ones are quest units. So any enemy that is specifically for a quest is one of these white ones.
Is white. Yeah.
So we've got loads of enemies. loads more enemies, and then the other ones are the health chips. Which, if you've never played a chip theory games before, what you do is you basically put the unit on the table and you put a number of health chips underneath it. Very difficult for streaming with an overhead camera, but that's how health is represented in this game.
Yeah. The chip theory don't think about you in those times, do they?
They don't.
Let's face it.
No, they don't. I had to buy a special camera just for them. The only other thing I think we haven't shown off so far are... Oh, no, we've got some more stuff. What's these? So, again, I'm going to look quickly at the rulebook so I can find out what these are.
These kind of the town cards and maybe encounter or quest cards, maybe?
They are side quests. Okay, so in addition to the normal campaign, you've got a whole bunch of side quests that you can do over the course of the campaign, which looks like it's a little fight.
Yeah.
Some of them are maybe not fights, but some of them are fights. So yeah, lots of side quests. That's those. We've got some other cards. Let's just have a look, see if I can find them. See where I put them. I'm just looking through the rulebook. We've got... Oh no, it's normal cards now. Right. So again, I'm not going to open all of these, but this is a very heavy box because it contains 6 packs of poker-sized cards, and we've got a whole mixture of stuff. We've got legendary items, we've got common items, so there's 160 cards which are items. We've got guild cards, we've got delve cards, we've got overland encounter cards. I'm going to open a couple up and we'll see what we've got. Let's open this one up. Thankfully they've got this little gold pull string. So when you played this for an hour, what did you do? Did you do like one encounter?
Yeah, it was on one region, obviously, and we did a clash on the battle map, but also did a couple of side quests. But if I remember rightly, I was trying to collect something from around this various region. I had to go certain places to collect things and then get sent to another place. So the quests that I chose were about, I think it was collecting something, about getting the right number of items together until I could get to the big clash at the end. Right. So there were a couple of small encounters, or 1 or 2 small encounters, and then there was the main clash at the end of it. Really enjoyable. Maybe an hour and 20, hour and a half, something like that. But it was a scenario that was set up specifically for Gen Con and not necessarily one that we'll see in the final version.
Right. Okay. Now somebody said in the chat that there's lots and lots of cards.
Yeah.
And there's no duplicates. No duplicate cards whatsoever in here.
Okay.
Which is great. So that was a lot of food related items. I've also heard that Chip Theory Games have stamped their puns all over this game as they normally do. So expect to find various puns available. So we've got delve cards and we've got some other... Yeah, I'm now seeing the amount of content in this game. It's ginormous, isn't it?
It's just absolutely huge. And I think does this include the is it Valenwood expansion?
No,
is that included in
Valenwood is not in this box.
Right.
But what was Valenwood? It was just more content.
More content. I think there were a few expansions that came out throughout the campaign, should I say? Yeah, and Valenwood is more of this. But let's face it, anybody just looking at the base game alone can see the sheer amount of content that's here, and just how, if you enjoy it, just how much replayability there's going to be. Yeah,
and I'm fairly active on the Discord server, and I think one thing that I heard them talking about over the last week is that they've already planned where the expansions for this game are going to be, and they've included the placeholders for it already in the game. So maybe like
in the game itself,
or something like that. Maybe some of those locations on the maps you can't go to yet, but they've already sort of factored that in and worked out where they're going to go. Okay. I'll be honest with you, Mark. My biggest worry of this game is because I first heard about this game 3 years ago or something like that. Cloudspire is fantastic, and I don't get to play Cloudspire anywhere near as much as I want to. Too Many Bones is fantastic, and I don't get to play that anywhere near as much as I want to. Hopper Marcus is also fantastic, and even though I've just played through a solo campaign, I want to do that 10 times.
More,
and I think this game is going to beat all of those 3. For me, based on what I'd heard about this game And everybody I know who's tried it, what they've told me about it. And all that means is that those games that I really want to play, I'm now not going to play because I'm going to be playing this instead.
I had the same thing. So I recently got Burn Cycle. I know Burn Cycle's not one of your favourite chip through games, but I've not played it in a long time because I was playing everything else, and I got that off the shelves recently. Really enjoyed my time with that. But again, it's probably that and Cloud Spire, which I probably haven't played in 18 months, are going to get relegated because this is going to monopolise a lot of my time because it's got everything that I kind of love in a game. First of all, obviously, Too Many Bones is one of my favourite games of all time. So there is a slight bias there coming from me for that. But secondly, as a D&D player, as somebody that enjoys a really good adventure-style game, this, from what I've played of it so far at Gen Con, and when my copy eventually arrives in the next day or so, it's obviously going to hit my table a lot. I just know it's going to monopolise a lot of my time because it will scratch, from what I know, it's going to scratch that very particular itch. Yeah. You're right. It's going to be at the expense of other games, unfortunately.
Yes, and I played D&D for 25 years of my life, so I am a D&D player at heart. I haven't done any role-playing games for a long time, and whilst I like Too Many Bones, I don't find Too Many Bones really a role-playing game.
It's not. It's a series of mildly connected quests, basically.
Yes, and I love the flavor text, and I love the narrative, and I love the journey that you go on. Absolutely. But I don't get an RPG vibe from Too Many Bones, even though you have a character and you're leveling up the character. I see that more as a board game. This, I'm getting the impression that it might blur that boundary a little bit more. Yeah,
I think this is going to be more akin to what you see. So you think of this as like a GM-less D&D game, and that's exactly what it is. The narrative is a games master for you here, and you have all of that kind of RPG ability to adapt and upgrade and change your character, play it with different characters, create different teams to do different challenges as well. Yeah, it's going to scratch that. I think close that gap on what TMB wants to be and what we would like to see from it, and I think it does it very well from what I've seen.
Yeah, the other thing that's going to be interesting, and now that you've got a play group near you, is one of the things which seems to be common with chip theory games is don't play them at 4-player because they're a bit too long.
Yeah.
I'm going to be interested to see how this one works. I am going to get a 4-player game of this in, and I'm going to see if it is too many people. Too Many Bones at 2 or 3 is great. I know a lot of people say it's best at 1. Certainly, if you want a short game, then yes. But I always prefer the multiplayer experience rather than the solo experience. That would always be my preference. And 2 and 3-player Too Many Bones is fantastic. I don't think I'd want to play 4-player because it would be a similar experience, just a bit too long. And
too long,
yeah, 4-player Cloud. I tell you what, I played a 4-player game of Cloud Spire once, 2 versus 2. Incredible.
Yeah.
Took about 8 hours, but it was incredible.
And I think that's the thing, is it? You mentioned game length, and it can go long. But I know at the end of my Tuesday nights, we've been playing D&D for 4 hours. Yeah. And most of the group would actually carry on playing all night if they could. Basically, if you're that invested in it, then if you're that invested in it, then it's not too much of an issue having a long game. And I think you're right. If you go into it knowing that 4-player is going to be a long game, not only because you're working out how each character kind of counteract with each other. There'll be a lot of table dialogue. There'll be a lot of discussions about the best way forward, etc. All that elongates the game as well. Yeah. But if you're enjoying it and you've got a strong story there, which obviously it's got to have a strong story, then I think it's going to be an experience that most people are going to like. But saying that, obviously I've not played it at 4 players. No. Maybe it's too easy. Maybe it's too hard. The balance, I don't know. I'm sure the balance is fine, but who knows? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it says on the box that it's a 2-hour game plus 30 minutes per player.
Okay.
Now, that's interesting. That it's... So, in other words, a solo game is 2.5 hour, and a 2-player game would be 3 hour. Whereas... Yeah. Okay, so there's a smaller percentage increase according to what's printed on the box.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But we'll see. I should imagine, like all those game length times, they're for people who know how to play the game.
Yes.
So I wouldn't expect if you're going in for your first game as a 4-player game to get it done in 4 hours. I would say give yourself 8 hours.
I would say give yourself a lot
while you learn all the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, content coming up from this game. Mark, your copy will hopefully be with you in the next couple of days. What's
Yes.
your plan for content? Because you don't generally do playthrough videos. You generally
Well,
do
no, I'm
reviews.
reviews. So
But
I will do I will do a bit of an in-depth unboxing of my own when
yep,
when my copy actually arrives, but that'll be up on my channel. Absolutely, I will be playing this over the next few months to then create, at least one review or overview video, etc., for the
yep,
solo experience. But for those of you who don't know, Mike Dennis from Ready Steady Players recently moved up to Sheffield, where I live. And Mike and I are going to be doing a two-player playthrough on Ready Steady Play as well,
right,
basically, of this game. So that's what you'll see from myself and from Ready Steady Play over the coming months. There,
great. And Mark's
but
channel
Paul,
is not board gaming, and Mike Dennis's
exactly,
channel is
yeah,
Ready Steady Play. I'll put links to them in the description of this video so that you can head on
yeah,
over there, click the subscribe button, and
yeah.
so when will Mike be doing his? When will you and Mike be doing a playthrough on Mike's channel?
Don't know. So if it arrives, we're going to play it on Saturday, basically. So just to
Right.
get the game down, and then Mike will need to do kind of the script for it, if you like, and understanding what needs to be covered. Clear that with
Yeah.
the guys over at Chip Theory. So I should imagine in the next month or so,
Okay.
depending on Mike's diary. But we'll know more. I'll know more after the weekend.
Yeah. In terms of my content, because I've got a hectic schedule over the next couple of months, I've actually the coverage that I'm going to be doing for the game, other than this unboxing, which is not sponsored by the way, is going to be sponsored. So Chip Theory Games have agreed to sponsor a playthrough that I will be doing of the game. I've got two people lined up for it. Ben Filler's coming over and JP from the Whose Turn Is It Anyway podcast. They are both Too Many Bones fans. I think Too Many Bones is both of their number one games of all time at the moment. Watch this space. They're coming over. And that's happening in October, so it's quite late. I'm going to be doing my playthrough of it quite late on compared to everybody else, and I know that is going to be after the Pledge Manager closes, but that's the date that I've agreed to do it with Chip Theory Games. My video that I'm going to be doing for it in October is not going to be designed to help people make that decision about whether they want to back it before the Pledge Manager closes. It's going to be there to help people learn how to play the game. That's the primary reason why I'm doing that video. And the plan is to have that video ready and out there for the time that when people are hopefully getting their copies so that they can watch us playing. I'll be explaining the rules as we go along. And yeah, that's coming at the end of October. We've actually got a date penciled in for it already. It's either going to be on the Saturday or the Sunday, the 26th or the 27th of October. And as we discussed, Mark, we're not going to be able to fit in that in a 3-hour session in an evening. We are going to be spending a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon, and we will be playing until it's done. And I reckon it's probably going to be 4 or 5 hours or something like that. That's what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, I should imagine so. And I think that is an important point. Is to get the most out of this, you're going to want to see Paul's full kind of playthrough.
Yeah.
That should help you once the Pledge Manager's closed. I think it's due to be delivered at the back end of the year. Is it to backers? So. Maybe I'm not too sure. Yeah. So that should then give you at least a running start along with the tutorial on exactly how the game plays and what to look for.
Yeah.
I think somebody here has just asked about how it plays solo. So Frederick Anderson said, "How do you think it will play solo?" So, Frederick, as a solo gamer, I only play Too Many Bones as 2 characters. I have played it solo. I prefer it with 2 because I like that interplay from it.
Mm-hmm.
Bear in mind, this is a fully cooperative game. So, as a solo gamer, I'm not seeing the solo rules as of yet for pure solo. But I will be playing it 2 characters. I want a warrior, and I want an archer, or I want an orc, and I want a wizard, basically. And I want that counterplay. But it's fully co-op, Frederick. Remember that, so you can create your own adventures from there.
I'm just checking to see. I'm having a quick browse through the book to see if there is a solo game section. Yeah. I'm not sure there is, which means it might just be solo out of the box.
Yeah. Shannon says there are no separate rules for solo. It's the exact same rules. The game just scales on its own. So there we go. Yeah.
So I would ask you, Mark, try the solo.
Try true solo, yeah.
Try true solo, because then when you do your review, you're actually saying, "Oh, actually, it does work." But I'm the same with you. That's what I was saying earlier on. How I much prefer to play multiplayer because I want to see the interplay between 2 characters, and my brain isn't good enough to be able to play 2 characters myself. If I tried to do that, it would literally explode. So yeah.
So yeah, when I cover the game, I will cover it from a true solo and a two-handed solo perspective, basically. Okay.
Yeah. Mark's made a very
Yeah.
good comment in the chat, and Mark knows me too well. I don't want to sleep
Paul,
tonight. I want to sit here and play through the tutorial, but I'm not going to. I'm going to be sensible. I have house jobs to do. If you are one of my Patreon supporters, though, next Tuesday, Rick is coming over and we will be learning the tutorial. Now, the reason why that is going to be a Patreon-only stream is because I have agreed to do sponsored content. And if I'm doing a sponsored playthrough video at some point in the future, it doesn't feel right for me to do a public playthrough, which is literally me fumbling my way through it, making loads of mistakes and trying to learn how to play the game. But that will be happening. If you're a Patreon supporter of mine, you will have access to that. Any game that I play of this while learning it over the next 2 or 3 months will be streamed, but it will be a private stream. And all of that is going to be done so that the one that I do in October will hopefully be spot on. I'm not going to get to play that much of it because JP, as I mentioned earlier on from the Whose Turn Is It Anyway podcast, he's going to be taking this game from me and he's going to be playing it through himself. He's going to be doing a lot of the preparation for it as well. So both myself, JP and Ben, we are all going to make sure that we play this game a few times before the live stream in October so that we can try and bring you the best quality playthrough we can. And importantly, with the right rules. Because I imagine a game like this is going to be easy for us to miss something, certainly the first few times we play it.
Absolutely, I think like all the more complex chip theory games, is there's lots of minutiae and interconnecting rules that kind of will only occur in certain occasions. So errors will be made, but you sometimes learn more from those errors than kind of other things. For anybody joining late in the stream, the knife is not part of the package, by the way. Yeah, so
the which.
The knife is not part of the package.
The knife. No, the knife does not come with the game. That's a special limited edition in my kitchen. Yes. I think we're all done. Yeah, I've made a complete mess of the table, but I'm going to have to download that PDF on the website to tell me how to put it back together.
Put it all back together.
We've got some dice bags as well. I didn't show the dice bags, but I assume that you will be drawing enemies from a bag rather than in too many bones. They're just on a stack. Yeah. I guess they've got these bags.
They must have those, yeah.
Yeah, but that is everything. Thank you very much, Mark, for joining me. I hope your copy arrives in the next couple of days.
Yeah, hopefully. Latest from Everett is it's still going to arrive tomorrow, but that's been the case for 2 days now. So somebody over at the Everett warehouse in Rugby is having a whale of a time at the moment with my
once
game.
They've finished playing through the tutorial twice with all their friends, they'll send it on to you. But you might get a chance to play it on Saturday. So if you do get a chance to play it on Saturday, pop on Slack afterwards and just tell us your initial impressions. I already know what those initial impressions are going to be, but
absolutely, yeah,
you never know. Right, we're all done. Thank you very much to everybody for watching. Just as a reminder, as I mentioned at the start, this is not a sponsored video. I did this tonight because I wanted to do it, and I'm able to make videos like this thanks to the support of the Patreon. So if you want to support me directly and help me carry on making videos, patreon.com/gaming rules. And a big thank you to all of my existing Patreon supporters for funding the channel and keeping it going for the last few years. Thank you, Mark, for your time.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you all next time. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.